I love that. Anyone else want to jump into that topic of like kind of fighting against, the altcoin propaganda and the altcoin content that's coming out?
Yeah, a
YouTube
couple.
is a cesspool. Sorry, go ahead, Max. I just wanted
That's
to
okay. Cool,
put that
man.
in.
So yeah, a couple of points. First of all, this industry, this Bitcoin industry lacks something that almost every other industry has, and that is publicists. Every other industry, whether it's the evil banking industry, Hollywood industry, fashion industry, the farming industry, they hire publicists, people who spend all day just putting out positive spin on shitty stories. We don't, because this Bitcoin is decentralized and there is no centralization, there's nobody there to hire a publicist, and that it shows up in that there's so many cross messages and so many people stepping on each other's toes. There's no uniformed message, and that there's no solution to that, sadly. The second thing is that everyone on the call here is saying, I didn't know how to contribute, but there's actually two parts to that. By walking away from what you were doing is contributing to the demise of fiat money. That was step number one. Now you're in a place like, oh, now I'm heading into Bitcoin. But there's two sides. You're moving away from fiat. That's contributing hugely. That's it.
Well, yeah, just on that point, speaking to Stacy recently, I feel like that was a really big part of what you guys push, is that what your actions are. Like, that's the message. You want to reject JP Morgan, buy silver. You want to burn fiat, buy Bitcoin. Like, it's like, take action. And I think there's something really empowering by that message.
Right. Everything's got to have urgency, right? So I started out on Wall Street. I did that for 8 years, from 82 to 90. And sales is all about urgency. There's got to be a reason for somebody to buy something. And it's not because it's good for them. And it's not because it makes sense. It's because it's emotional. That's all. Sales take place on the emotion. So on Kaiser Report, when I talk about Bitcoin, I reach out and I try to grab people by the lapels and say, if you're not doing this, you're fucking up in a big way. I say, metaphorically, and my job is to make them curious. And then once they get into the rabbit hole, then they find everybody else. But I can't explain it and logically why you should do it, because that's not what sales is. My job is to just say emotionally, to make people insecure by not owning it. And then they jump in the rabbit hole. And then I know Bitcoin takes care of the rest, because once you get it into your head, it starts to work on you.
Yeah. And you were speaking about how there's no kind of organized effort to drive the narrative, but it's also like the beauty of Bitcoin, because in itself, you eventually coalesce on this truth that is Bitcoin. I know I'm racking up my drinks as I say this, but I don't give a fuck. Anyways,
Want to see a big chug?
Yeah, it'll happen. So yeah, like you're kind of actively seeing everybody go through the motions of no coiner to, pre-coiner to, for many shit coiner, and then down that rabbit hole to eventual Bitcoiner. The people that have already made that gradual transition are just trying to help with that transition for everybody else, to help them avoid the pitfalls of shitcoinery that we already went through, because we've already seen it and we see it happening again and again. I mean, like, DeFi is ICOs 2.0, obviously. So we see things happening again, and we're just trying to help people through the same process, but without as much heartache. And again, this lack of direction is, I think, why so many people are trying to dive into. That's why we have a big group here talking about creating content on YouTube to help people understand Bitcoin, because we realize the importance, and we want to help people through that process as easily as possible. So it is beautiful to see, even without publicists, this happening right here.
Absolutely.
And here we go.
And just to kind of add on Max's point and BTC Sessions' point, I got sick and tired of these altcoin channels. They would just get, they have like 200,000 subscribers, and you're like, how the hell? And then you start to notice the patterns, right? So like Andreas, he used to not care about the thumbnails and the stupid things that would get people to, I'm going to use Max's example, stupid things to get people to buy, right? So in this case, it would be the stupid things to get people to click. And I got so sick and tired because you look at Andreas, like he didn't have that many subscribers compared to his quality of content, right? So, you know, so like I got tired of that. So I'm like, okay, what if we use the same game that they're playing, but just make it exclusively for Bitcoin? So good thumbnails, you know, kind of a daily recap, a daily thing, and use their same kind of, you know, dirty things that get people to click. But instead of, you know, inevitably crashing these people or wrecking these people, we're actually kind of serving a purpose for Bitcoin. You know, we're kind of giving back in a sense.
You're catfishing with quality content.
Exactly.
Exactly it. We're hoping.
So why don't you add to that, Phil?
I mean, man, I don't really know what else to say to that piece, but that, you know, I mean, Sessions got it. That's exactly what we're doing. I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of clickbaity and it's fun, but at the same time, you know, we're serving up the Bitcoin information because, you know, to Nico's point, that the, you know, YouTube is just full of altcoin garbage and shitcoin garbage. And it's just, you know, this is, you know, the scammers have more resources. You know, the scammers put out the really flashy stuff. They put out the great videos. They put out all the fantastic, you know, like slugs that make people want their garbage and people buy it. So it's like, you know what? Why don't we just use the exact same tactics, but give them Bitcoin instead?
Well, yeah, I mean, like you do the thumbnail that's something technical, and you're going to get probably less click through. You do a chart with like a circle around some price point or something, and then you briefly mention the price at the beginning, and then you dive into, but now there's a new release of Sparrow Wallet, and Cold Card has an update, and there's multi-sig, and like you dive into the important stuff that actually will make a difference in people understanding Bitcoin and, you know, what's going on in the macro landscape and what's happening with the Fed. And you can get people to click and then become interested in the important stuff. And I totally get the tactic that you're talking about, because if we don't have organization, then we have to recognize the people that do and exhibit those same tactics. But again, as I said, catfish with quality.